Commish Radio Show, back again. As you know, this radio show is loved by many, hated by few, respected by all. We're second to none. The best radio show from Como to the Congo. And if you see me do all of this, it's not because I was dancing, because you know I can't dance. We have these camera angles, and we want to make sure that you get the best camera angle going, because you get the best information right here. You know, I used to be on Heaven 97, but you know what? I'm here at fbrn.us, giving you information that you can use on a daily basis. So this political season, I've been here all week long, just like I was last week. And guess what? Next week, I'll be here again. Today, we have Judge Sally Montgomery, who's here with us today. We're going to move the mic a little closer to you. And there we go. And may want to turn that volume up just a little bit, and we'll get her closer to the mic. But Judge Montgomery, tell us about yourself and tell us about the bench that you're running for. You already have it, or what's going on with that?
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I am judge of County Court at Law number 3 and have been since 2003. I was the first elected Democrat countywide in that year, and the rest became history. Helped with the Blue Wave back in 2006 and was the one that established Leadership Council for the Democratic Party. My bench is a civil bench, meaning we do cases strictly dealing with money damages, from small cases, money-wise, to very large cases. It's unlimited, so for example, I've got a business case right now that I think is worth about $1 billion in damages, and then I end up doing evictions and small debt collections as well. Medical malpractice, legal malpractice, it just covers the whole spectrum.
Now, you said $1 billion. That's with a B, right?
Right.
$1 billion.
Right, it's in the newspaper all the time, nationwide.
Nationwide. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going on right now.
Right.
Okay.
They want a 4-month trial, and during the pandemic, that ain't going to happen. So, and then I do some real bad injury type cases.
All right, bad case injuries. What we used to refer to slip, trips, and falls, but these are bigger slips and bigger trips and major falls.
Some deal with products liability issues, for example, where the product is such that someone gets injured and maybe they shouldn't have been injured that badly, and so the product itself is examined, and if that helped contribute to the damage. So they can get pretty complicated.
Now, where are you from?
I'm from Dallas. I was actually born in Addison.
In Addison?
And I didn't get very far. I'm just across the road in Farmers Branch now.
Okay. And where'd you go to school at?
I went to about as many places as I did college. I started out Preston Hollow Elementary School. I went one semester in 2nd grade to Armstrong Elementary School, back to Preston Hollow. Then when I was in 7th grade, I was at Carrollton Junior High School. In 8th grade, I went to Hockaday. In 9th grade, I went to Highland Park Middle School, I guess, and then graduated from Highland Park.
All right, and you went to college?
I went everywhere. My first year, I had wanted to leave the state, of course, and Dad was like, no. So I went as far away as I could for starters. I went to Texas Tech my first year. I ended up enjoying it, but in the meantime, I put in my transfer, so I ended up getting 2 degrees from SMU.
Okay.
And then more from there.
Okay. Now, why did you decide to become a lawyer?
Blood. I actually got accepted to med school for a PhD program.
Oh, so you don't like blood, so you decided to become one?
No, I couldn't even prick my finger, And I had started a microbiology master's at SMU. And to get out of that, because that just wasn't my thing, I ended up getting a master's at North Texas in environmental science.
What is environmental science?
Hmm?
What is environmental science?
That's where we dealt with lakes and climate change and all kinds of things like that.
Back then, I thought climate change was like a new thing.
No, it started back in the 70s, 60s even. They were already aware of some issues.
And what degree was this in?
I had this project where I studied how much heat certain areas would absorb, including how much animals could handle.
And what degree was this? This was a master's?
Master's of Science. And The person in charge of that program is the one who designed our lake reservoir. Thank heavens for Dallas. He designed all of them.
Because otherwise, we wouldn't have any water here.
That's right.
Because this area here it doesn't have these lakes are just man-made.
That's right.
Okay.
I had really originally wanted to go to Scripps in California, and I'd wanted to do a lot of deep sea type science. And Dad, like I said, wouldn't let me go, and I got into the lake stuff, and that was, I ended up having to count a lot of how many insects and worms were in the mud in the bottom of lakes, and that wasn't my thing either. So anyway, then I ended up going to law school, Baylor.
Baylor Law School.
Right, but I became a teacher first. I got a teaching certificate at North Texas as well.
Okay. Very, very well-rounded. Were you at Baylor Law School when Jim Maddox was there?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. Jim Maddox, for those that are listening right now, they're going like, what are they talking about? Jim Maddox used to be Attorney General. He was obviously went to Baylor Law School. So we got you out of law school, and now you decided to run for a judgeship, a bench. You just already described the bench itself. How long have you had that position now?
I've been on this bench for...
You've been a judge in more than one position?
I was a district judge before.
Tell us about that one.
It's the same jurisdiction, pretty much. There's some venue differences in that I could make a decision on, for example, some county in South Texas, which now, as a Dallas County judge, I can't do, but the cases can be every bit as big. So that was 1997 to 2000. Then I was a visiting district judge for a couple of years, and then I ran for this county bench, which, like I said, I do pretty much the same thing.
Okay, now visiting district judge, that means you don't have a regular bench that you there. You just you're the substitute teacher, so to speak,
right.
Substitute judge in
right.
this particular case.
I get appointed all over the state where I'm needed.
So when someone goes to court and they say, "Well, we were supposed to go see that one. They wasn't there, and someone else was there," you would be that person. That was there.
That's correct.
Okay. So from 1997 to 2000, then you was a visiting judge, and then
for 2 years.
2 years, and then what did you do after that?
And then I ran for this bench, and I've been on this bench ever since. So I am the senior civil trial judge in Dallas. I don't look it because I have blonde hair. I'm not tall enough.
Yeah, well, we already talked about being tall when we did our pictures out there
right.
earlier. So
it's shocking now.
It's very shocking to really get to the point that you've had all of this experience and you're running for reelection now. And how many terms have you had now?
Oh Lord, I don't know, 5.
5 terms. Well, that's enough right there. That's enough.
Like that.
Yeah.
5 times 4 is 20. Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
This will be my 6th term.
6th term.
On this bench.
On this term.
Mm-hmm.
This bench. Yeah.
Right.
What do you believe is your greatest accomplishment since you've been there?
Well, I am absolutely one of the least reversed of all the civil judges, and I think that's partially because of my science background. I also have a business background. I was a classroom teacher for a while, so I follow the rules that everybody has to behave themselves. One person talks at a time. Everybody gets to finish what they say. And one of the main things, and how I ended up being a judge in the first place, is I was chairman of a committee that went before the legislature to get the law written where judges can order cases to mediation. I'm a middle child, and basically I love mediation, and being a judge, I don't take one side or the other. I get to continue trying to work with the parties. Before trial, they have to mediate. If I think that mediation or consulting during the trial will help, then they get to go talk to each other some more. And I think that's probably one of the biggest strengths I bring to the bench. I never was a plaintiff's attorney or a defense attorney. I was a title attorney, and that's also rare. I think I'm the only former title attorney in the county, so that all these issues with deeds and evictions and things like that, I'm on top of that.
So mediation skills is the greatest skill set.
I think that temperament, Yes, and I was one of the first group of mediators, obviously. But I think the temperament of trying to bring parties together is my greatest attribute on the bench, and that's why I liked it. It just seemed fit for me.
But this is a civil court, and
Right.
do they get really testy, in civil?
Well, occasionally. And then my classroom teacher skills come in. They have to maybe go to their room, and they have to talk nicely to each other, and I'm pretty much able to calm them down and get them to work together.
But getting people to work together is a great mediation skill. But what do you foresee coming forth? You've been there a long time, on this term that you could bring to this term that you didn't do previously.
I've been doing it the same way the whole time. I was one of the first women judges in the county, and that was just scandalous back in the day, 26 years ago.
Tell me about that. 26 years, because right now Dallas is now known for having more women judges, female judges.
Now, that was
than-
not the case when I took over.
You were the first?
I wasn't the first, I was like the second or third. And so, and while I was on the bench, I actually got pregnant. And that was particularly scandalous. And, and I also had my first opponent before I was ever evaluated. The interesting thing about that is I had never been reversed on the law at the time I got my first opponent. So I just had to deal with some of that. That was back in the day when women had to sue to become law partners because there weren't any women that were law partners. So Judge Barbara Lynn is the one I think that first started suing the lawyers so that she could be a partner. She's now head of our federal judiciary,
Right.
Northern District. I was her vice president on the DAYL, or Dallas Association of Young Lawyers, when she was the president. So we kind of shared a lot of that together.
Okay. We got history going on right here, don't we?
We do.
Okay.
And I'll probably be the only person you ever talked to whose dad was actually in the horse cavalry. So I can really extend this out.
All right, now before we go to our break, horse cavalry. You got Angelo going like, what are you talking about?
My
What's horse
father
cavalry?
would be 112 years old at this point.
Your father would be 112 years
My
old?
mother is living. She's 101.
Your mother's living now,
Yeah,
and she's 101?
right.
Okay. All right. Okay, is she registered to vote?
She is.
Okay. Is she going to vote for you?
I hope so.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think so.
We'll be right back
She
after
better.
this break. You're listening to the Commish Radio Show, and you're listening to Judge Sally Montgomery. Which bench is this again?
County Court at Law number 3.
County Court of Law number 3. All right. We'll be right back.
Who was that masked man? You mean you don't know? That was no masked man. That was the commish. Saturdays from 5 to 6 p.m. on the Fishbowl Radio Network.
This is John Cruzeau, your Democratic candidate for District Attorney for Dallas County. Thank you to the Commish and Ed Gray and the Commish Radio Show.
This is Marquise Hawkins, candidate for House District 100, and you're listening to the Commish Radio with Ed Gray.
Hey, this is Maria Aceves, and I'm running for the 192nd Civil District Court, and I'm listening to the Commish Radio Show. Tune in.
Everyone, this is Marcus Turner Jr. Yeah, that's right, running for Dallas County Clerk. And when I want to listen to the latest in politics, the latest in what's going on in Dallas County, guess who I tune into? Ed Gray with the Commish Radio.
All right. Ed Gray, Commish Radio Show. As I've often said, this radio show is the best radio show from Como to the Congo. You know, loved by many, hated by few, respected by all, second to none. We're talking to Judge Sally Montgomery. She is the clear choice. I think we have that graphic. We can put that up as well. And I will go over the graphic as well, and we will talk to that. As we're looking at the platform, it says Judge Sally Montgomery is Dallas County's longest serving judge and has presided over well over 38,000 cases, earning a strong reputation for fairness efficiency, and integrity. So that explains why when I asked you before, I mean, how many times, which term, you're like, well, it's been a long time ago. I've been
I quit counting it.
38,000.
That was back in 2018.
But, 38,000 cases. And you have the longest history with the Dallas County Democratic Party.
Correct.
A long history. You began the county's shift to Democratic leadership in 2002 and was an integral part of the Democratic sweep. What do you think is going to happen in Dallas? Is it going to maintain being blue? And what type of endorsements have you had?
I have been endorsed by, I almost have to have my list. I actually brought a list. I've got so many, but I've been endorsed by Angela Vaughn, President of Grand Prairie, and been endorsed by John Wally Price, our county. Been endorsed by Royce West. Been endorsed by the Mexican American Bar Association. 23 district. I've been endorsed by the Teamsters. I've been endorsed by, I don't believe anybody else.
Oh, it's like being at church. You don't want to leave
Jackson,
nobody out.
Stonewall Jackson. Stonewall. I've been endorsed by the East Dallas Democrats, by Preston Hollow Democrats, and I'm really proud of my 148 appellate attorneys, including the president of the Dallas Trial Lawyers, the president-elect after that, and the head of several other associations as well. Been endorsed by several. I'm proud of this endorsement. It comes out because everybody knows that I see everybody exactly the same and can help. I do evictions, and on evictions, I'm more familiar with if we weren't able to pay their rent during the pandemic. So I have only to evict 2 people in all, last 2 or 3 years. That's because they wouldn't take any of the free money. And landlords love me too. They want to send me flowers because they get paid.
Okay, now evictions. I thought the JPs did evictions.
We do the appeals. So when they appeal, it comes to my court, and it's not that you look at every JP court. They start from scratch.
Okay, and now we got a question here. An individual says you were appointed by Republicans.
No, never appointed by.
Never appointed by
I
Republicans.
have never been appointed.
Okay, so that discounts that one. And have you ever been a Republican?
I was back in 1997, and had some issues with the Republican chairman. Took him to court, judges. Well, made me ask him certain questions. Didn't make me real popular.
What, in the Republican Party?
Right. And but I stood up for what was correct, and then I left the. They were given a choice on things that they needed to do, and they didn't make the right choice. So I became the first Democrat. Everybody thought I changed my mind, and then later they thought I was brilliant.
Okay.
But I really, my perspective now, it's changed so much. Gosh, what's it been, 22 years? I am truly a Democrat at this point because politics don't even.
Okay, let's go back about how politics has changed so much. And I asked you that question because someone is just they texted me with these questions here, and
Sure.
it's showing up because we're doing this live, and it's showing up
Absolutely.
as well. So therefore, I wanted to go ahead and ask you that. So how has politics changed?
Whereas people, there were a lot of people that were moderate, which were compromised, which is a major word in how with each other. Now they don't listen to each other. It seems like the far ends, they don't try and work it out. There are still moderates in both parties, and
You think there are moderates in the Republican Party?
a few.
A few. Okay, well, about 4 or 5.
There are
of
a
them.
few. There, and
About
they're
as much
feeling a bit.
moderates as you could possibly see on a clear day like it is today.
Right.
It's not even clear out there.
Well, yeah, exactly. They are feeling disenfranchised. I think a lot of the moderates are feeling disenfranchised, and so the Democratic Party is the only way to go for me.
Okay, so then you're pretty well taking that question off the map now, and I will go ahead and go back to the questions that we have here. And we happen to see the individuals are calling in right now with the questions, but we will continue with the stated questions that I have as well regarding what you've done before and how you're going to move the bench forward. Are you campaigning? How are you campaigning during this COVID era?
Well, I wear a mask most of the time. I'm showing up at absolutely everything, and I've been backed by almost everybody that I show up in front of, where the questions are asked of the candidates and the way I answer them. I haven't lost, except the first endorsement when I didn't even know I had an opponent yet, because they liked the way I handled the bench. I was, at one point, when I was on the district bench, investigated for moving my docket so fast. And I'm going to use that experience when the courts reopen after COVID, which hopefully will be real soon, to get the bench caught up again, because we have not been able to have jury trials due to the concern about exposing jurors to COVID. So that's when my experience will come in, I think, most handy.
Okay. So this deal that you're dealing with about COVID, this COVID epidemic that's going on now, did you show up at court all the time?
Yes, I'm there almost every day. I'm not there on my Tuesdays generally, which was my jury docket day. But
what's the jury docket day?
Jury docket day is the day when we have our jury cases lined up, and the first one that doesn't settle goes to trial. So except for Tuesdays and sometimes Wednesday, I'm there every day.
Oh, that's when everyone lines up and then they decide whether or not
Right.
you're going to actually go to trial, and they say, oh,
Right.
we made an agreement, and then you sign off on it, basically.
Right. Well, the agreement among the judges was Monday would be my in-person day for non-juries and motions, and they didn't want me to have people there Tuesday and Wednesday because other judges wanted it. And then on Thursday, I have a motion docket that lasts all day. So I prepare at home. I take home big notebooks and read it, so I'm prepared before Thursdays. Friday is my eviction docket day, and the way we dealt with COVID on that, and this is going to stay permanent, is we revolve the docket. Instead of everybody showing up at one time, we have them come in every 20 minutes. And if we get backlogged, we get them into different conference rooms so they're not exposing each other.
Now, eviction docket, at your level, still at your level, I mean, who are you evicting?
Landlord tenant. And I wrote a paper, it's used statewide. It's landlord tenant and property right owners and ethics that's used statewide on everybody's right to, be able to stay in their home and yet also at the same time to collect their rent. And it's the basic stuff that comes right out of JP court. It's novel to county courts. District courts don't do this. It's really, truly people court. It's very interesting.
All right. All right. When we come back, we will conclude with the interview with Judge Sally Montgomery. Let's play some drops, and we'll be right back.
I want to get in.
Everyone, this is Marcus Turner Jr. Yeah, that's right, running for Dallas County Clerk. And when I want to listen to the latest in politics, the latest in what's going on in Dallas County, guess who I tune into? Ed Gray with the Commish Radio.
This is your community constable, Bill Gibson, representing Garland, Mesquite, Rowlett, Saxe, Centerville, and East Dallas in Precinct 2, Dallas County. And you are tuned into The Commish with Ed Gray.
Hey,
ain't nothing but against the party.
Like that up, Slim. Why you acting like
They done messed up again. Fishbowl Radio done messed up again, man.
How did they do that, Commish?
They got America's two most wanted back together again, man.
Come on, we still got our crowns
We
up.
got it. We the kings. We the kings of internet radio.
If y'all didn't know, now y'all know. This is the Two Kings of Fishbowl Radio Network right here.
Now you know I'm on in a gray bowl, 1 to 3 on Saturdays, and you?
I'm up in that fire bowl from 1 to 3. Oh, if you didn't know, that's red.
That's what it is. See you guys every Saturday.
Don't miss it. We know you ain't doing nothing on Saturday from 1 to 3, but listening to us. Make your choice.
And it's always with us, number one.
Two Kings.
Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Bond. I'm the founder of the Irving branch of the NAACP, also known as the John Wally Price of Irving, Texas. And I'm here to welcome you to tune in to the Commish Show, hosted by the infamous Mr. Ed Gray.
This is John Creuzot, your Democratic candidate for District Attorney for Dallas County. Thank you to the Commish and Ed Gray and the Commish Radio Show.
All right. Back again, Commish Radio Show. Back again as we are tuned in right now. We got a couple of comments here, and if you want to address those comments, you feel free to address them.
All right. First, I want to say that I won the top award from the National Young Lawyers Association for a project that was legal information to immigrants. I also won the state award for the same thing. I was also the founding board liaison for the Wednesday's Child Program, and I put in a lot of pro bono for making sure the parents were afforded the legal help they needed to adopt those children. I am a former school teacher in DISD. I was put up for Teacher of the Year, and as you all know, it's pretty much 98% minority. I got along great with everyone. That's why I was put up for that. And since, if you look at my endorsements, and I'm heavily endorsed by, like I said, Royce West and John Wiley Price and the president of the NAACP for Grand Prairie, as well as by Victoria Nueve, Ana Marie Ramos, just you name it, Mexican American Bar Association, I don't want to leave one out, Stonewall, Tejano's 23 Senatorial District, the Mexican American, pull it up, Democrats of Texas. Everybody to me is the same. They were born the same, and I treat everybody the same. And any dispersions aside, I've never had these dispersions until this race, and I'm shocked. I have, for 1 hour, I had been told privately that, and I was new on this, on the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance, that they liked me, okay? I didn't understand. I put it up on my Facebook page for 1 hour. On that very day, late in the afternoon, took it down immediately with many apologies, not knowing it was incorrect, and was told by them, Reverend Wilson, it was not a problem. And so I'm stunned for people to, first off, I don't know how they ever even saw it, since it was up there so fleetingly. And at the same time, this comes from, I believe, my opponent, who put out full-page ads in their program that made you think that they endorsed her, who made statements on Monday Night Politics to that effect. And it's just stunning to me. And these are ethical violations, the way these were done in their own program by my opponent. So her implication, I think, is that since I have this terrific record, I'm the least, or almost the least reversed among all the civil judges, is just to try and infer that I've got these biases and things. And considering, if you look at who's endorsed me, you can pretty well see that if that was true, I would not have gotten those endorsements. I wouldn't have all those prominent attorneys endorsing me if I didn't do things fairly, quickly, and accurately as a matter of law. And it's just stunning to me. I've never been through anything like this. Never had anything like this ever said, nor ever even think it. And if you look at my my eviction docket, a lot of that is from people of color and different cultures, and they would never, ever, and you won't find one that would say that I didn't treat them and try and help them just to the maximum of my ability. And I always get them their rent money.
Okay. Now, you said pro bono, and if there are any other questions, if you like to have Judge Montgomery to be on your show, feel free to ask her to be on your show. Let me go back with my prepared questions here. Now, your pro bono work.
Pro means for, bono means free.
Free.
So
Okay.
I freely did all these legal services for people to be able to adopt Wednesday's children, many of whom were minority children. And people know me all over the south part of town for this. And I was, like I said, the founding liaison. And a good friend of mine, who was actually the chair of that committee, is former Judge Brenda Green. And we go back to practicing law days. She also is a black judge of color, and I just thought the world of her.
Okay. Well, I don't think you needed to start defining people as color on that because of the previous questions and everything. Let's go straight because this is what we're dealing with the interview here. So the county court at law number 3. How many courts are there other than
5?
5. And they divide them up according to what?
It's a matter of random selection on who gets what cases on what day. It's just a wheel.
Wheel?
We all do the same thing.
Okay. So, go ahead.
I might add that my peers respect me highly. I've served as president of the Texas Association of County Courts at Law, as well as I've been on the advisory board for the Dallas women lawyers for like 15, 16, 17 years.
Now, what was that again?
The Dallas Women Lawyers Association, I've been on their board as an associate board member for about 17 years.
And when you were there, when you initially started practicing, there was very few women in Dallas County practicing law.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
What was it like when you first started practicing law?
I did a lot of title work. I didn't have to show up in court. So I didn't face some of the issues some of the women did, like Barbara Lynn. I had my own client base, and so I did start out with a decent-sized firm. But with
Who'd you start off with?
A firm called Dalton Moore, Ford, Joyner, and Stolenworth. And it was a great firm to work for, but since I already had my own clients, I didn't feel like sharing a cut. But I got very heavily involved in the Dallas Association of Young Lawyers, was a board member, then later an officer, vice president.
As far as I got with any of that was going to Law Magnet High School and then doing an internship at Thompson and Knight way back in the day.
Wow. That's impressive.
Well, hey.
That is really impressive.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Now, when it comes to the legal work that you're doing now, and we had spoke about immigration before, could you delve more off into that?
I don't do immigration cases. In my court, if I had a car accident, for example, in France, somebody caused me to be injured in France, I would expect to be able to be in their courts. And if they're from another country, they're certainly allowed in our courts, and no one knows the difference. It's not an issue whatsoever. If someone is here and they have rented a home, their rights are the same, be it they be a naturalized citizen or just here legally. I would never even know. It's not an issue.
All right. Now, you know something about closing. We're about to go to our closing. So could you give us our closing and looking at that camera there and tell us why we select you, Judge Sally Montgomery, for Dallas County Court at Law number 3?
I have done, I think, professionally as well as anyone could. I had lawyers, I'm the only judge who's done this, study my bench. I had them study my reversal rate, meaning knowledge of the law. I had questionnaires that I gave to all the juries for years that had me graded on the issues of anything from patience to demeanor to fairness, courtesy, attentiveness, and I was rated excellent just constantly the entire time. That was my ranking. I didn't touch the actual information. It was done by, and there's an 18-page report. It's on my website under issues. It was done by a very prominent plaintiffs firm. It was also done, a defense firm contributed as well, Godwin Gruber. And so I've always been ranked right at the top. And that's just because that's me. And I haven't had to change over the years because I started out this way.
All right.
And I ask for your support again.
And who's your campaign treasurer?
Andrew Trusevich.
All right, so this is a paid political advertising.
Paid political advertising.
All right, okay. Got to make sure you say that. I know you're a judge. You want to follow the law and all that.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Thank you for listening to the Commish Radio Show. We'll be back very soon with more candidates. All right. Stay tuned for more.
Hello out there. My name is Byron Williams, former NFL player. I'm with the NFL Players Association, and when I'm not in the community, I'm listening to Mr. Ed Gray, the commish.
Hey, this is Chidua, the host of Our.
Hey, how you doing? This is Ed Gray of the Commish Radio Show. Stay tuned and tune in and be up to speed on everything in social justice, human rights, and politics on the Commish Radio Show, airing every Saturday, 5 p.m. on the Fishbowl Radio Network.
Jump in.
Who was that masked man? You mean you don't know? That was no masked man. That was the Commish. Saturdays from 5 to 6 p.m. on the Fishbowl Radio Network.